The Pine Ridge HOA president blocks the entrance with her golf cart, steps out, a thick file folder pressed against her chest. 3 weeks. She looks him over from head to foot, the look of someone used to sizing people up. You've been here 3 weeks, and you think you have some kind of standing here? This road has been maintained by Pine Ridge since before you knew this place existed. You don't like our rules. I won't stop you from leaving. But you're not going anywhere without my permission. Amber Ward, 55 years old, pearl necklace and navy blazer, dressed like she's about to chair a board meeting, not block a neighbor's driveway on a North Carolina mountain ridge. HOA president for 15 years, 47 households, $850 in road fees per year. The kind of number nobody argues about when nobody knows to ask. And nobody ever asked. Standing in front of her is Alexander Myers, 38, structural engineer from Charlotte, moved up to a lakeside cabin 3 weeks ago after 15 years of burnout and a marriage that fell apart. This was supposed to be where he started over. Coffee mug in hand, old flannel shirt, laptop open on the table behind him, 3 tabs pulled up since the night before. County property records, a 2005 building permit, and North Carolina property law. Amber drops the stack of documents on the golf cart hood and shoves it toward him. Read it. Our attorneys have already signed off. You have 30 days to pay $850 and sign the compliance agreement, or we proceed with a lien on your property. Do you understand what a lien is? Alexander looks at the envelope, doesn't take it. Can you just leave it in the mailbox? I'm busy. Amber Ward tucks the folder under her arm, steps back onto the golf cart, and drives off. Her pearl necklace sways once, then goes still. $850 per household, 47 families, 15 years. Not a single document, not a single line in any contract, showing Pine Ridge HOA had any legal right to that road. When a structural engineer starts pulling county records, you don't want to be the one being pulled. I read this story 3 times. The first time I thought, standard land dispute, they'll settle, it'll be fine. The second time I realized, the man who said he was busy wasn't busy at all. He already knew the answer the night before. The third time, I caught the detail. The laptop already had 3 tabs open when Amber arrived. County records, the building permit, property law. He didn't react when she threatened him. He'd prepared before she ever showed up. Someone commented, "This guy is calmer than a library." The HOA is punching concrete. 1,400 likes. Someone else. I went back and read my property purchase contract after this. Never looked at it that carefully before. But there's one small detail I almost missed. In week 4, someone crept out at midnight and cut the cable on one of Alexander's security cameras, assuming they'd wiped out the evidence. But he ran automatic cloud backups every 6 hours. Can you guess what that last video captured, and why whoever did it panicked enough to go that far? Leave your prediction in the comments, then see if you were right. The story starts with a red envelope stamped "Urgent" sitting in a mailbox on day 3, and that envelope was not a coincidence. Pine Ridge Estates, North Carolina. 47 wood frame cabins scattered across a mountain slope. Spaced just far enough apart that you can't hear your neighbors, and just close enough that no one escapes Amber Ward's attention. She's held Pine Ridge for 15 years, ever since the developer signed the HOA charter and disappeared, leaving behind a 43-page rule book and a schedule of annual fees that nobody read carefully. Amber never ran for office. She was elected every term, because no one else knew which clause in the bylaws contained the nomination process. She didn't pursue power by shouting or pounding tables. She pursued it the way people who understand silence do, by letting the crowd's quiet become a form of consent. Cosette Huang from Lot 7 still talks about it. She just wanted to paint her balcony sage green, a soft, muted shade, her favorite color. The violation notice came within 48 hours. She called Amber to ask about the approved paint list. Amber said she'd send the email. First week, nothing. Second week, nothing. Third week, a second fine arrived. $200. Reason, unresolved violation. Cosette painted it back to the original wood brown. No argument. She sold the house a year and a half later. That approved color list never existed, and she knew Cosette would never be able to prove it. 3 days after Alexander moved in, the letter came. A thick envelope, Pine Ridge HOA logo in the top left corner, urgent, stamped in red. Inside, a formal assessment for $850 in road maintenance fees, plus a letter from Henderson and Associates, their law firm, stating that if the fee was not paid within 30 days and a HOA compliance agreement was not signed, Pine Ridge would proceed with a property lien. Alexander read every line, folded it, set it on the kitchen table beside his coffee. In the purchase documents he'd signed 3 months earlier, the property survey clearly marked the boundary lines. That road sat entirely within the 7.2 acres, titled to Alexander T. Myers. Notarized, dated February of that year. The HOA's entire justification was a single line. You use our road, you follow our rules. He wasn't using their road. He was using his own. 2 days later, he called Andrew Roberts, a real estate attorney in Boone, 20 years handling mountain property disputes in western North Carolina. Steady voice, the kind you get from seeing enough of these cases to know what questions actually matter. Andrew's first question: does the HOA have any paperwork showing they have the right to use that road? Alexander went back through every page of his purchase documents. Nothing. Then go to the county land records office. Request the full ownership history on that parcel from 2000 to present. If there's no recorded road access agreement for the HOA, they have no legal grounds to collect fees. The next day, Alexander went to the county office in Boone. The clerk printed 14 pages, the machine humming, each warm sheet sliding out. He stood beside it and flipped through. Ownership records going back to 1988, clear as a blueprint. Year 2005, building permit number 2005-WC-447. Installation of private driveway and gravel road, owner Gerald Anderson. Year 2021, transferred to Alexander Myers. No road access agreement granted to any HOA. No recorded easement. Not a single line with Pine Ridge Estates' name on it. Do you need certified copies? All of them, thank you. The man who built that road was Gerald Anderson, 72 years old, living in Naples, Florida. It took Alexander 2 days to reach him, calling Gerald's old office, then former neighbors at Pine Ridge, until he finally had a direct number. Third ring. Gerald picked up. He didn't wait to be introduced. His voice dropped. "You're calling about the road, aren't you? You're calling about the road, aren't you?" Alexander confirmed. Gerald exhaled slowly. He told it straight. In the summer of 2005, he'd paid out of pocket to rent the grading equipment, bought the stone, spent 3 weeks laying that road himself, not a dollar from the HOA. No permission asked. They just started driving through one day, and kept going until it became habit, then shared access. Around 2009, Gerald knew what was happening, but his wife was in treatment for cancer. Every day was about getting her to her appointments and back. He didn't have anything left to fight with. I told myself, it's just a road. That's the thing I regret most. Alexander looked out at the dark lake, said nothing. Would you be willing to sign a notarized affidavit, confirming the road is private property? No agreement of any kind with the HOA? I've been waiting 15 years for someone to call it what it is. Send me the paperwork. A week later, an envelope arrived from Naples. 6 pages, the signature shaky but firm. At the bottom of the last page, Gerald had added a handwritten line in ink. This road has never belonged to Pine Ridge HOA, not for a single day. Alexander installed 4 trail cameras, weatherproof, solar-powered, with automatic cloud backup every 6 hours. He didn't tell anyone. He waited. 8 weeks, 412 recorded crossings. Not once had Alexander given permission. On the morning of day 56, the cable on camera 4 had been cut, clean through, one deliberate stroke. Not a wire that had frayed over time or snagged on something, but a cut made by someone who'd stood there in the dark and meant to do it. The copper wires exposed in the mud after a night of rain. A size 11 boot print pressed in clearly beside them. Someone thought they'd erased the evidence. Last cloud backup, 2:47 a.m. that morning. The footage was still there. Amber Ward didn't know about the cameras. All she knew was that the new resident at Lot 12 hadn't paid his fees, hadn't signed anything, and was staying quiet in the way she didn't like. Not the quiet of someone afraid, but the quiet of someone getting ready. Pine Ridge Estates Facebook group, 187 members, Amber as admin. Day 20, community safety update. The new resident at Lot 12 is refusing to comply with community guidelines and is taking actions that may impact residents' road access. Please be cautious and do not encourage this disruptive behavior. No name. Lot 12, was all 187 people needed to know who she meant. Day 22. Mountain Corner, the local general store at the crossroads. The owner, a man named Daryl, ball cap, shelves clearly stocked behind him, looked at Alexander and turned away. Out of stock. Alexander said nothing, walked out. Day 25. Outside his gate, a row of garbage bags arranged in a line. Not dropped accidentally, but placed deliberately, one by one. The smell hit him in the morning sun. Alexander photographed them, cleaned it up. No shouting, no police call. 15 years as a structural engineer had taught him one thing. The more load a structure bears, the more patience it takes to build it right. Yelling doesn't make concrete stronger. He opened his laptop, added to the folder, labeled Day 25, Garbage, 7:14 a.m. The folder already had 412 videos, the county records, Gerald's affidavit, Andrew's analysis. But he needed one more thing, what Andrew called a smoking gun. Proof the HOA knew they had no legal right and kept collecting money anyway. That proof arrived in October from an anonymous email address. A PDF attachment, 12 pages. Pine Ridge Estates HOA board meeting minutes, March 14th, 2009. Stamped, confidential. Item 4, right of access issue, Lot 12. The minutes recorded. Per the 2005 property survey, the road was confirmed as private property under the owner's name. No registered easement, no agreement with the HOA. Vice President Howard Briggs moved to stop collecting road fees. Then Alexander read the next line. Amber Ward's words, transcribed by the secretary verbatim. If no one complains, it becomes ours eventually. No one had complained for 15 years, because no one knew there was anything to complain about, because Amber Ward had known since 2009 that they had no legal right and kept collecting money. $850 per household, 47 families, 15 years, nearly $600,000 from a road that was never theirs. He typed an email to Andrew Roberts. Subject line, I have the smoking gun. Andrew read it. 8 seconds of silence on the line. That sentence is enough. They didn't just make an error. They knew it was wrong and did it anyway. Under North Carolina HOA law, residents have the right to speak at regular board meetings if they submit a written request in advance. Amber couldn't legally refuse. Alexander submitted his. 15 minutes to present on the Lot 12 right of access issue. Amber confirmed by email, tone flat. Your request for a 15-minute presentation has been noted. The night before the meeting, his phone rang. Florida number. Gerald Anderson. Susan Garcia tracked down my number. She told me about the meeting tomorrow. I called to wish you luck. Alexander sat on the porch, looking out at the lake in the dark. Why didn't you fight back then? A long exhale from Florida. Because I was tired. Because my wife was dying one day at a time. But that's not a good enough reason. Every time someone gets away with taking something that isn't theirs, it just makes it easier to take more next time. I should have stopped them. From the start. I'm glad you're stopping them now. Alexander held the silence for a moment. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for the road, and for the call tonight. Gerald Anderson laughed, the kind of laugh of someone who's been carrying something heavy for a long time and has finally set it down. November 14th, Pine Ridge Estates Community Hall, 7 p.m. 40-seat plastic chairs. All 47 households had shown up, not an empty seat. Fluorescent lights flickering at the far corner. The smell of bad coffee from the self-serve machine near the door. Amber Ward sat at the head table. Red blazer, pearl necklace, a laminated HOA folder stacked in front of her. Howard Briggs sat to her right. To her left, Secretary Janet Moss, fingers hovering over her MacBook keyboard. No one looked at Alexander. No one looked at Amber. Everyone was looking at the space between them, as if they could sense something was about to break there. Susan Garcia, Lot 23, sat in the third row, both hands flat on her thighs. Amber walked through the agenda. Winter landscaping, the lake pump maintenance schedule, quarterly budget. Her voice smooth and even, the way it had been for 15 years, because as far as she was concerned, nothing had really changed. Final item, a presentation request from Mr. Alexander Myers, Lot 12, 15 minutes. No warmth in it, no tension. Mr. Myers. Alexander stood from the back row, walked up, plugged in the USB. The screen lit up white behind him. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a structural engineer. I work with data. Slide 1. The property survey of Lot 12. A red boundary line clearly visible. The gravel road sitting entirely inside it. In the corner, building permit number 2005-WC-447. Owner, Gerald Anderson. The road connecting Highway 221 to Lot 12 was built in 2005 by Gerald Anderson, the previous owner, currently in Naples, Florida. According to the property survey on file with Watauga County, this road lies 100% within the boundary of Lot 12. There is no easement. There is not a single line anywhere listing Pine Ridge Estates HOA as a party to this property. Quiet murmuring. Amber held her posture. Our residents have used this road for years before you arrived. Long-standing use of an access route. I'm not finished. Slide 2. Gerald Anderson's notarized affidavit. First page, signature, notary seal. Mr. Gerald Anderson has signed a sworn affidavit. This road is private property, with no agreement of any kind with the HOA. Not verbal, not written. The HOA began using this road around 2009 without asking permission. And here is what the HOA has done in the 8 weeks since I moved in. Slide 3. The camera dashboard. A grid of video thumbnails. Timestamps stretching from week 1 to week 8. A number in the top right corner. 412. 412 times that Pine Ridge residents drove across my private property without permission. I haven't sued anyone. I kept records. A man in a blue flannel shirt in the middle row let out a slow breath and looked down at his feet. Amber tapped the table lightly. Residents have historically used this road. The HOA charges a reasonable maintenance fee to $850 per household, 47 households, 15 years. Slide 4 appeared on the screen. A spreadsheet. 850 times 47 equals 39,950 times 15 equals 598,500. Below it, in red bold text, $598,500. Nearly $600,000 in maintenance fees for a road that has never been under the HOA's jurisdiction. The room. Complete silence. 47 people doing the math at the same time. Amber stood up. The chair scraped across the floor. These are serious allegations. There is no... Last slide. Slide 5. Pine Ridge Estates HOA Board Meeting Minutes, March 14, 2009. Stamped confidential, every word clear. Alexander read aloud, slowly. Item 4, Lot 12 Right of Access Issue. President Ward presented. Per the 2005 property survey, the road is confirmed as private property under the owner's name, with no registered easement and no agreement with the HOA. Vice President Briggs moved to discontinue fee collection. He paused, looked up, looked directly at Amber. President Ward stated, "If no one complains, it becomes ours eventually." Howard Briggs set his phone face down on the table. Alexander read it once more, slowly, then looked back at the room. She knew in 2009. His voice was flat, the same voice he'd use reading a load calculation. She continued charging $850 a year from 47 families, for a road that was never under Pine Ridge HOA's authority. Pause. This wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate decision, put in writing, in your own HOA's official minutes. Howard Briggs pushed his chair back. I'd want independent legal counsel before... A woman in the middle section. We've been paying for 15 years. Daryl from Mountain Corner. 12 years, $850 a year. Susan Garcia stood up. The whole room turned. I move to remove President Ward from her position, effective tonight. Hands went up. 41 in favor, 3 abstentions, no opposition. Amber Ward looked around the room. 41 arms raised, including Howard Briggs's. She said nothing, picked up her laminated HOA folder, walked to the door, didn't look back. The pearl necklace didn't move. The door closed behind her. 3 weeks later, the North Carolina Department of Justice opened an investigation into misappropriation of funds and breach of fiduciary duty. Andrew Roberts filed on behalf of all 47 households. Henderson and Associates withdrew their representation within 72 hours. Amber's husband, Dale Ward, filed for divorce in week 6. A moving truck stopped in front of the house on Wednesday morning and was gone by 11. The interim board made an offer. Alexander could sell permanent road access rights for $75,000. Alexander read the offer, folded it. No. Howard Briggs looked at him. Then what do you want? I'm not here to take money from anyone. I'm here because this road is mine, and no one has the right to charge other people for something that was never theirs to begin with. But I have a different proposal. Early January, North Carolina mountains, the kind of morning mist that sits over a lake and doesn't move until mid-morning. Alexander signed a revocable license agreement, a personal use easement, granted to each individual resident of Pine Ridge Estates, not to the HOA as an organization. No fees, no compensation required. One condition: a written letter of apology delivered within 30 days. 37 households sent letters in the first week, some short, some long. Cosette Huang from Lot 7 wrote a full page, ending with, "I'm sorry for staying quiet when she did it to me, and for not standing by you when she did it to you." Daryl from Mountain Corner drove over and handed his letter to Alexander at the gate, holding the envelope with both hands. On day 27, the neighbor from Lot 11, the one who'd left trash bags outside the gate twice, pulled up in the early morning. No letter. A roll of chain-link fencing and a pair of bolt cutters. He parked, looked toward the gate, and started patching the section of rotted fence at the west corner, the section Alexander hadn't had money to fix yet. They worked through the morning, didn't talk much, didn't need to. March, the lakeside cabin, late morning. Alexander sat on the porch with his coffee, looking at the water. Pale blue, no noise from the road, no red envelopes. His phone rang. Florida area code. "Mr. Anderson, I was just thinking about you. Susan Garcia sent me a copy of the agreement you signed. Free access, just a letter of apology." A quiet laugh. "You could have gotten all that money back." "I know." Gerald went quiet for a moment, wind on the line. The truth doesn't care how long you try to bury it. It always finds its way up. It just needs someone willing to dig. Alexander looked out at the flat, still water. "Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for everything. That road belongs to you now, in every sense." Old, easy voice. "Take care of it." Subscribe so you don't miss next week's story. An HOA in Oregon moves to foreclose on the home of a 68-year-old woman undergoing cancer treatment over a $240 fee she didn't know she owed. The person who steps in to defend her is a neighbor she's never met in person, and what they do is so precise that the judge laughs out loud in the courtroom. The gravel road is still there, still running from Highway 221 down to the cabin gate. Every morning, a few cars pass through, residents heading to work, coming home, the occasional Saturday with kids in the back seat heading for the meadow at the far end of the property. When they drive past the gate, most of them raise a hand. Power isn't something you accumulate, it's something you choose not to take, and that's exactly why people know you could.